What's going on? Welcome to another live edition of Real Fans Real Talk. We got a whole lot of sports to get into this week. Everybody knows it's March Madness right now, so there's a whole lot of college basketball. I ain't gonna hold you. The men's side has been good, but the
TD Cash
women
lets you
have been
customize your cashback. Earn
electrifying.
more.
So I'm really looking forward to the rest of this tournament. But before we get into all of that, let me introduce my co-host, my brother, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. What's going on, man?
What's really good, bro? Another exciting episode. March Madness in full effect. We're about 2 weeks away from the start of the NBA playoffs, and Major League Baseball starts in 2 days. So it's definitely an exciting time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shout out to Ron Charles. We see you over there first up in the comments section. We're gonna talk about Dion a little bit later on in the program. Y'all know we got. I'm surprised we not flooded with a whole bunch of March Madness questions right now. I see some of y'all got some questions about college basketball in there, but we got to talk about college basketball electrifying the last couple of weeks, especially on the women's side of things. Um, we had a we had a couple of big matchups. A couple of the number one seeds doing well. Iowa's looking good. UConn is looking good as well. Is there any surprises that you've seen thus far? I guess, and we'll start with the women's side of things, Eric.
With the women's side of things, no, it's kind of gone the way it's supposed to. But I'm actually checking the scores right now because I know UConn is in a tough battle right now with Syracuse. And then we got Notre Dame won earlier today. NC State held serve against Tennessee, and that was a close game. Tennessee actually had a chance to win that game. But obviously tonight we got Juju Watkins and we get Caitlin Clark. So we get some exciting basketball in about an hour. As both those 8 o'clock game is Caitlin Clark, and then the 10 o'clock game is USC.
Now, I ain't gonna hold you. I want to see both of them today. Is there one that you like? I want to see a little bit more, or it's deadlocked down the middle.
Um, I think it's deadlocked down the middle. I'm glad they kind of their games don't overlap, so we get to just watch each of them. But I am interested in seeing Juju, just because Caitlin Clark, we kind of know what she could do in the tournament. We saw it last year. For Juju and this opportunity to get to the Sweet 16 as a freshman, I think that's a little more exciting to see what she can do as a young player still developing.
Yeah, I'm actually very excited to see Juju for the same reason that you just mentioned, and they have a big matchup today going against Kansas. It's not going to
Mhm.
be tough, but I want to see what Juju can do. We've seen her light things up this entire year, but again, you still got to be able to do it in the tournament, much like in the pros. You got to be able to do it in the playoffs. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what Juju does in this game because I think this is going to be the game where it's like, all right, Juju, it's time to put your stamp on women's college basketball right now with this game, and then we go from there, and maybe we might see, at some point we may see her versus Caitlin Clark, if these brackets kind of hold up, because they're they'd play before we got to, I guess if they both made it to the final four, they'd play each other.
Oh,
So I'm
that
looking forward
I
to that.
mean, yeah, that would be the dream matchup for television, and for basketball fans, for it to
Yes,
be Caitlin Clark, who already knows going to be in the draft and probably going to be the first pick, and then go against Juju, who's the future of women's college basketball right now.
exactly. I'm gonna go to Mike Merrill's comment because his comment is in regards to the tournament. What's y'all thoughts on the tournament the first weekend? I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm proud of my guys. I'll tell you that much. I'm proud of my guys at Duke. They got a big win this past weekend, so I got to show them some love. Um, but I mean, like I said before, it's action packed. I watched a couple of the games yesterday. I was just watching kind of game after game after game yesterday, checking kind of a little bit on everybody and seeing what's going on. I see they one thing I will say, they still trying to get at Andrew Reese. Let the ladies play ball. Let
Yeah,
them
I
talk
saw
that
that.
talk.
Yeah,
Like, it's corny. We went through this last year. Like, I don't want to have to go through this every year because some of the black collegiate players are talking smack, and people can't handle that. Like, yo, the girl got fouled out. Angel Reese hit her with the little bye bye. That's it. Isn't that like, let's move on? It shouldn't be something that causes this whole big stir of controversy.
Yeah, I hate it, and I agree with Angel Reese's comments recently in an interview where she said, trash talking is a part of the game, and I don't understand why people are so offended by it. We still trying to handle the women's game with like these kid gloves, like they're not supposed to be emotional about the game. That's the game. We talked about that too when the little scuffle broke out during the LSU South Carolina game. That's part of the game. I'm cool with that. So, Angel Reese, keep doing your thing. Don't worry about what everybody else got to say.
Exactly. Like, come on, man. We gotta do better. Let these ladies play. We At the end of the day, we're not talking about checkers here. We're talking about basketball. Whether
Yes,
it's women or men, it's still a physical sport. All right. The emotions is gonna be running high. You want to win. Anybody that's played done anything competitively knows, sometimes the emotions get high when you
yeah.
when you see the battle. So, knock it off, man. Let the ladies play. They're doing it very well. Hold on, I seen something up here about Juju. I forgot who that was. But let me go. I'm just gonna put one more comment up here from Mike Merrill. Is it time for Kentucky and John Calipari to part ways? That's a good question. Um
Go ahead, Chirp, because
okay,
I've been waiting for this one.
okay. Well, here's the thing, right? Is it are we getting to the point where the one and done is catching up with schools? Is that where we are with it? And if so, then maybe it is time for a changing of the guards. But and this is something that we spoke about last week in regards to the storylines for the women and how we see more of them because they're sticking around for three
Hmm.
and for 4 years, and we don't see that with the men. That's not going to change anytime soon. When it comes to going to the NBA, guys are going.
Yeah,
Like it is what it is. If you are good enough to go after 1 year, you are absolutely going. That
yep.
is just it is not going. That's not going to change unless there is a rule change that says you cannot leave college for a certain amount of years. So, like, you can get that out your head. So we're gonna see. I mean, it's gonna take time. Some years you're gonna get those recruitment classes where it's like, oh yeah, we got a chance right back in the thick of things. We can at least get to the final four with this with
Hmm.
this team. And then sometimes you're gonna get that draft class where it's like, we're not gonna be as good as we would have liked to be, and the guys that we recruited the year prior, they're no longer here, so we're gonna struggle this season. So you're gonna have every so often you're gonna have those years because you're getting more and more guys that are leaving after 1 year, after 2 years. So it's gonna be hard to sustain and be that dominant force every year.
I don't think it's time for Coach Cal to leave because Coach Cal is a great recruiter. Let's keep in mind that they might Kentucky, depending on if both their guards, Rob Dillingham and the shooting guard, I can't think of his name now. If they both enter the draft, both those guys are going to probably be top six, top eight picks. So in terms of recruiting, he's doing his job. I think the bigger issue with Coach Cal is that Coach Cal isn't really a great X's and O's guy. He's not a great, like strategist of the game. He's a great recruiter. That's his pedigree. Everywhere he's gone, whether it's Marcus Camby at UMass, whether it's Derrick Rose at Memphis, and everything he's done at Kentucky, and all the number one picks that he's recruited, he can get the guys. I think he struggles as an X's and O's guy, and he may be better suited to kind of bring in a more of an offensive minded or more of a strategist as his like wingman to take over that part of it. For Kentucky, it's tough to part ways from him because he kind of has a lifetime contract with them because of all that he's done for the school. And like I said, yes, he only has one national championship, but when you look at the star power that he brought back to Kentucky, he made them very, very relevant again. So I think Kentucky would be hesitant to part ways from him. Again, bring in a guy next to you that can kind of run the offense and be the X's and O's guy, and you continue to be the recruiter who can get the top five talent every year.
Yeah, so that from that standpoint, it would be tough to part ways with him because you're gonna lose them. We saw what
Hmm.
happened when as soon as the announcement came in that Nick Saban was no longer going to be the head coach at Alabama. We saw guys immediately in the transfer portal. So you have to take into account that if you don't have a name like Calipari there, recruitment may get a little bit tougher,
Oh, it
especially
is.
when you see the big name coaches that are scattered around college sports in general. Like, I mean, and there's a comment about Deion. We're gonna get to that a little bit later, but just look at the Deion Sanders effect. And when you
Mhm.
start to have more coaches that come into college sports that have that type of recruitment power, the only armor you have against that is to keep a guy like Calipari, whether or not you're getting a championship every year. You still need a guy like that who can recruit and get the top athletes, because you don't even have a chance if you don't get those guys coming into your program.
And to Coach Cal's credit, because I know a lot of people have been very critical. You know, they lose in the first round to Oakland, and Coach Cal's only got one championship, and he's overhyped. Coach Cal has always said his number one job is to get these guys to the next level. He's
Mhm.
never hid that fact. He's never been one of those guys that's come in and say, "Oh, I'm all about building a powerhouse college program." No, he's always said, "My job is to get you to the next level. And if you want to get to the next level, you come to Kentucky because I know how to prepare you for that next level." And he's done that. You look at the number of number one overall picks and first round picks. He's done that. So it's very difficult. Anthony, you know, you have two nephews who love sports, play sports. If you get a guy like Coach Cal or Deion Sanders who comes into the living room of the family and says, "Hey, look, I'm gonna not
No,
only I'm right, I'm gonna take care of your loved one when they come to my school, but I'm gonna make sure that they're prepared for that next level, which is their ultimate dream." How do you turn that down? Because winning it, no disrespect, winning at Kentucky doesn't hold the same weight as being able to get somebody to the next level.
yeah.
John Wall, Boogie Cousins, AD, Jamal Murray,
Mhm.
Emmanuel Quickly, Tyrese Maxey, ask all them guys. They'll tell you in a heartbeat they much rather make the league than win a national championship at Kentucky. It just is what it is.
Yeah, because you want to take care of your family and
Right,
have a side at building generational wealth. And the only way to
right.
do that, even though, and I'm gonna go to this comment next, even though you got these NIL deals now. So I'm,
Mhm.
I'm gonna put this comment up on the screen. Let me shout out the ladies, Pooh, Imani. We're gonna definitely talk about that a little bit later on in the program. Yes, I do know the feds hit Diddy's
Oh,
both
we
of
got to
his
get
his
to that. You know, we got to get to that.
and I ain't like the way my man J. Cole caught it straight. So we're gonna talk about that a little bit later in the program as well. But let me go to Rich Dre's comment. Rich Dre, what's going on, man? He says, has the transfer portal been good for college basketball? How has the NIL changed the landscape of college basketball? Transfer portal, yes, I would say it is good for college basketball, because at the end of the day, as a student, if I don't feel like this is the right program for me and I want to be able to go and play someplace else, I should be able to do that. So I'm okay with the transfer portal. As far as the NIL, yes, it changed the landscape of college basketball. That's what it was supposed to do. Now, the good thing about the NIL deal is it will actually help to combat what the one and done is doing to college basketball. Because if I have an opportunity to make a couple $1 million, it may make me say, you know what, I can stay in here one more year because I'm getting about 15 million in
Wow.
NIL deals. So I can I
Yeah.
can I can stay one extra year. You know what I mean? Especially if it's a situation where, because all right, let's say, and obviously, actually, it's hard for me to even use him as an example because I know we're not supposed to be talking about him, but let's just say an athlete who has the star power of a Bronny James, right?
Mhm.
He is
You
going.
broke the code, Trip, because you
I
now
did.
you
I
brought him
said
up, and now the comment section is gonna go crazy now.
know they gonna go crazy, but I just had to use him as the example just because. Okay, you know what? We'll use. I'll go to the ladies side. We'll use Angel Reese, right? And I don't want to really. I can't use it's tough to use the ladies because for the most part, like we said, they're gonna go 4 years and that's it. But for them, if the WNBA was drafting freshmen out of college, right? Knowing that I'm only gonna make but so much playing in the WNBA. However, I can make more money staying at my school than I would if I had the top contract in the WNBA. I could possibly make more money with NIL deals as a college athlete. So it can help to balance out what's going on with the one and done, because I have the opportunities. If you're a second round draft pick, I'm gonna stay. I'm staying in college, and if I can get a couple of deals, I'll stay here for another year. Like, why not? Go get to the money.
I'm gonna start with the second part of this question, Rich Dre. How has the NIL changed the landscape of college basketball? It's changed it dramatically because, to Tripp's point, now it may be encouraging to guys staying at their school, but also I think where it really changes is that no longer do you need to seek out the Dukes, the Kansases, the Kentuckys of the world. If you're a guy who wants to stay more locally and go to a school maybe that you grew up rooting for, you don't feel rushed now to have to go to one of those power schools because you know you can make money and get exposure anywhere you want, as opposed to just going to the power schools. I know you want to respond to Rich Dre. I see your face, Trip. Go ahead. Go ahead, Trip.
Look, Rich, I got the comment up there. I said I apologize because I didn't want to do it. I just needed an example, but I was actually talking about Bronny James, not LeBron James on this particular one. But I was just using. I had to use him as an example because he is someone who has a lot of NIL deals already.
That's we could use a lot of people. We could use a lot of people, Trip. Come on.
It was the first one that came to my mind. I said, I'm sorry, guys.
Put Rich Dre's original comment back up there, though. Let's get back to the original comment because I want to, in regards to the first part. Has the transfer portal been good for college basketball? I'm going to say the transfer portal is not good for college basketball. And Trip, I agree with you. The players and these kids should have the opportunity to go wherever they see fit. But the reason it's not good for the sport itself is that now we no longer have these build-up teams where we kind of grow with the teams and we kind of like and look forward to them during March Madness. And that's why I think the women's game has to pass the men's game on a college level, because we have an attachment to LSU and Angel Reese. We have an attachment to Dawn Staley in South Carolina. We have an attachment to Caitlin Clark, and we're going to have an attachment to Juju Watkins. We have no attachment on the men's side. Like I said, I challenge anyone. I challenge anyone in the comment section. Tell me who's without a doubt going to be the number one pick in this year's draft, because you can go so many different directions. There isn't one standout guy on a collegiate level that we talk about that is must watch TV. Shout out to Hoop Baller School. There are teams we want to watch. Like I like watching UConn. I'm going to pay attention to them. But is there a guy on the college level where it's like it's must watch? Is there a team that's like, oh, we got to see what they're going to do? The days of these teams kind of growing up together and becoming, like the stars of the sport are gone because there's too much transfer portal, there's too much movement. There was a guy, and it slips my mind now. They were playing in the first round who transferred out of his school and then transferred back to the same school again for more playing time, which it makes no sense. Like you transferred for a reason, but then you came back again because now there was another opportunity. So I think it has hurt the sport of college basketball, but the players should be allowed to do that. And I think the NIL is great for the sport because it allows guys now to not just have to go to the power schools. They can go to any school, and if you have a big enough star power, you can still profit off it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go to Hoop Baller Scoop's comment. Y'all notice that Cheryl Miller has been kind of mentoring her and kind of bringing Cheryl back into the fold. I love it. You guys know how highly we speak of Cheryl Miller. I think that is so dope of her to reach back. Not only are we talking about a young black woman in playing college basketball, but this is from her alma mater. A young lady who broke her records. So I think that's dope as well, because we always talk about closing the gap between generations. And I think what Cheryl Miller is doing is amazing. And as far as Juju Watkins goes, you could not have a better mentor when we're talking about college basketball, because Cheryl Miller is someone that is largely looked upon as the GOAT of college basketball players.
I agree. And I also love the fact that it's connecting to the past glory of the university. That connection of letting you and remind you, because remember, Juju's from that area as well. So Cheryl Miller, just like she is from that area and what she did for USC, now Juju all these years later doing it. So I love that connection to previous glory.
Yes. Let me put Kyrie. Shout out to Kyrie Thompson. He said Duke is playing against dogs now in Houston. Yes, we got a big game against Houston. I think we could get the job done, man. I think that we could get the job done. And I'm always be pulling for my guys. We got a lot of big games that's going to be coming up that I really am looking forward to seeing this coming week.
The Sweet 16 round is going to be amazing. Sweet 16 round.
Let me jump around. See, Ron got a comment. Hold on, but this might rub y'all wrong. I'm gonna pause that. Just First and foremost, Caitlin said more people watching the women's tourney more than the men's. Is there proof? I admit we watching more, but not more than the men overall, though. So I would have to check the numbers to see, but I would say, like, I could tell you right now, there's probably more people talking about the top 5 players in women's college basketball than in men's college basketball right now. I would say that. Now, obviously, the tournament is so big and there's so many teams, so maybe it might balance out because you know you'll watch like right now on the men's side. Are we watching Iowa like that on the men's side? Like, do we watch?
I
You know what
was
I mean? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're not watching. There's certain teams on the men's side that we'll still watch, or at least we'll get that viewership as opposed to the women's side. Once you get past the names that everybody knows, the powerhouse head coaches, it may start to balance out. But when we talking about the top of the top, the ladies got it, man.
I mean, the proof would be in the ratings, and we won't have those numbers just yet because this was the opening weekend for both sides of the tournament. So, I assume by Wednesday or Thursday before the men's second, before the that next weekend, maybe Final Four time, but not the first weekend. I don't know. I mean, I think overall, I understand your point of view on this, though, Ron. I think overall the men's game probably does get more viewership, but I do think the women's game is top heavy because, as I mentioned,
Yes.
um, we will be tuned in tonight to watch Caitlin Clark at 8 o'clock. A lot of us will be tuned in tonight to watch Juju at 10 o'clock. So I think that's the difference between the men's game. I don't think, as to my previous point, I don't think there's anyone on the men's side that makes us have to go to our TVs and watch it. On the women's side, we have multiple examples of, hey, LSU's about to play. I'm gonna watch LSU. Hey,
Like
Iowa's about to play. I'm gonna watch Iowa.
who's the biggest names on the men's side, and are they being talked about more than Caitlin Clark, Juju Watkins, Angel Reese, with Paige? I'm sorry, I don't want to mess up her last name. Paige
Buckers from Connecticut. Paige
Connecticut,
Buckers. Mhm.
Paige Buck.
From UConn.
So, who on the men's side is being spoken about more than those young ladies? Who on the men's side is being spoken about more than South Carolina with the dominance that they've had this season and running the table pretty much? I, there's nobody on the men's side that's being spoken about like these women.
They're not, and like Ron said, yeah, that's what it is. The women's side is great. Now it will be very interesting to Ron's point to see what happens when we get to like that elite level, elite eight level. Because if we get to the elite eight and all the big names on the women's side are still there, there's going to
That's
be a
gonna
lot more attention on the women's
yes,
game and who's going to advance in potential matchups as opposed to the
yes.
men's side. Now, now the men's side, the storylines could change because you got Connecticut trying to go back to back, and the closer they get and the more dominant they are, that'll pick up steam. But top heavy wise, yeah, it's the women's game right now, man.
Yeah, because think about it, if we do get to, let's just say we have a Final Four where it's South Carolina, Iowa, uh, LSU, and USC. Let's just say if we can get if it can work, if it works out that way. I don't know what matchups on the men's side is competing with that because there's no one this year. Like we've had years where there's guys that we like. Oh my, like where you got these headline names. It hasn't been like that this year.
Hmm. Yeah, that I mean that, like I said, that changes everything. So matchups are going to be everything moving forward. But if we get the top heavy side of the women's side, more people will tune in there.
Yeah. Who y'all think can beat South Carolina? Um, I'll tell you right now. I think if they wound up, if they did play LSU again, I think LSU beats them this time. Um, I
They wouldn't get
think
LSU, I believe, to the Elite Eight, right?
yeah, but I just think if they play them again, I think LSU can beat them because I think they're going to be so motivated to go up against them again after what happened the last time that they played. If Iowa can get a second one of those girls to they're gonna have to go to Super Saiyan mode. But if they can get that from a second player, they could possibly get one over on South Carolina because we've been talking about Caitlin Clark and she has something to prove this season. I think she really wants that championship to go on to her resume. So I think it's possible they may have an opportunity to do it. But other than that, I don't know. I don't see anybody
And
really coming close outside of those two.
I misspoke because I actually went back to just to look at the layout of the bracket. So Iowa and LSU would be on a crash course in the Elite Eight to get the shot at the Final Four. So we're probably going to get a rematch of the championship in that Elite Eight to get to the Final Four there. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think South Carolina's a juggernaut right now. I think they're on a mission. I don't think they like the way they lost last year to Iowa in that game. Remember when Caitlin Clark was kind of shrugging off the shooters? They're on a mission. So I'm gonna take South Carolina to beat everybody right now.
They are, and again, see, that's the beauty of women's college basketball, because when you don't have so many one and done players, you can really build that roster up, and that chemistry is going to be something crazy. So now you can have a team like South Carolina just running through everybody.
Mm-hmm. UConn is tough too, but South Carolina's just been really, really dominant recently. But I wouldn't put anything past UConn. Again, Paige Buckets is a phenomenal player.
Yeah, I just don't know about if they got enough to beat South Carolina though. I think they got enough to beat mostly every other team that they may come across, but I don't know. I just South Carolina, man, they are tough this season.
Yeah,
they play very cohesive. They may have the best coach in women's basketball right now. So I
and
don't.
we and
I
we don't
just.
UConn.
But
Obviously UConn will have the matchup with if the bracket shakes out the way we think. UConn still got to get past USC as well, which again that would be must see TV. If we get UConn and USC, that's a must see TV. So it's a lot of matchups on the women's side.
hold on, what next? Did someone sign with Steph Curry from South Carolina? Sign with Steph as what? He's repping clients now. What's Steph out here doing? I'm not sure. What you mean? Did they sign with Steph
Yeah.
Curry and what, Lene? You're gonna have to help us out with that one. In the meantime, though, let me hold on. We gotta let me get. We've been going through the questions so much, we ain't even check out what's going on the rundown. Let me just see what's on the rundown right now. Just to let me see. All right, you know what? Let's really quick. Let me just throw some NBA stuff in here because I did see some NBA questions. We got to talk the Warriors. The Warriors are struggling right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the 10th spot, and the Houston Rockets are on their heels right now. They don't want about 9 straight, and it's looking a little shaky. What does Golden State need to do to turn things around?
They need to close out games better. Yesterday was a prime example of that. They had a chance to close out Minnesota yesterday. Steve Kerr, very shaky with his substituting patterns. He took Steph out with about 6 minutes to go, or actually put him in with 6 minutes to go. Then took him right back out with 4 minutes to go. Then he waited too long to bring him back in. That was a game that was very winnable, and that was an opportunity for Golden State to win that because they took the lead late in that fourth. But the substitution patterns and the coaching got to be better. Ultimately, they got to be more consistent. We've talked and we've highlighted Kuminga, but Clay has still been off and on sometimes off the bench, and the supporting cast got to be better. And it seems like the nights that Clay plays well, Steph doesn't play well. So they got to be more consistent across the board. And also they got to win because they got to make us look better, Trip, because we said this is what veteran teams do. They win this time of year, and we got this mountain that we got to stand on, pause, and they lose in these close games.
Yes. Well, listen, the Lakers been holding on. All right. So at least
here we go. Why are you bringing up the Lakers?
I said the team. I didn't say nobody else. All right. Let me go to the next comment here. Smart move by the Cowboys. Dallas seems willing to let Dak hit the market in 2025. I mean, how much more are you possibly going to pay Dak if he's not going to win you any playoff games? Maybe time. I don't know if they want to spend more money. However, I mean, you're still going to have to address the quarterback situation. Like, we're not going to act like Dak isn't in the top half of QB ranking order in the league right now. So if you don't re-sign Dak, even though it's going to cost you an arm, leg, foot, elbow, and just about everything else to re-sign him, who do you bring in at quarterback? And are you willing to go a couple of seasons where you are a losing football franchise because you don't have a quarterback that's at least of Dak's caliber?
It's smart because you got to put the pressure on Dak to perform. And as you mentioned, at this point, he has not performed up to the expectation of that contract. So you got to put the pressure on him, and you got to hope that maybe as he gets near the end of that contract, he gives you a good playoff run. He gives you, a little bit more wiggle room, and it gives you an opportunity to kind of expand your ceiling on what your expectations are. But I also wonder how much of this is not only saying, hey, he's got to be better, but also maybe within that building, they feel like they traded for Trey Lance. Maybe they are developing him more than we realize. And maybe they feel like he could be the guy moving forward. So let's not forget that Trey Lance is in that building. Trey Lance was a high draft pick that they traded for from the 49ers. And maybe they're very confident in the future with Trey Lance. But ultimately, it is a smart move by Dallas. I would not invest in Dak right now until Dak shows me more come playoff time.
Yeah, you have it. Let me go back to Lene. Shout out to Lene. Thank you for doing the homework for us. Malaysia Full Willie. Full Wiley. I hope I'm saying her name right. I'm so sorry if I messed up your name. Signs with the Curry brand. Listen, Lene, don't be coming for me. All right, don't do that. Okay. Listen, shout out to her. I mean, that's good company if she did sign to the Curry brand. You talking about one of the legends of the NBA, so that's definitely a good look for her. Let me go back up to the top because I think there was one more question I missed about the NFL. I just had it up here. Where did we? I lost the question. Oh my goodness. Okay. In any event, while I'm finding that question, here it is. I found it right here. Kyrie Thompson says the Chiefs trade cornerback L'Jarius Sneed to the Titans. It's the Chiefs, man. At this point, I don't care what they do. I still feel like they're gonna be in the Super Bowl. So it doesn't really matter at this point. I'm sure they would have loved to keep him, but you just can't keep everybody. It's just not possible. If we were talking about baseball, then yeah, you can keep everybody. But when there's a salary cap, we know you're not going to be able to keep everybody. So moves like this has to be made. But when you're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, unless you're telling me they traded Patrick Mahomes, I still think they got a chance to win the Super Bowl.
It's a move, unfortunately, that was going to happen no matter what. When you have the level of success that the Chiefs have had, you just can't keep everybody. And L'Jarius Sneed has played at a very high level as well. So I don't want to say he wasn't deserving of the new contract, but
you
can't
just afford him. You can't afford him.
Yeah. I mean, again, you can't pay Mahomes what you're paying him. You can't pay Chris Jones what you're paying him. You can't pay the O-line what you're paying them. You can't pay Travis Kelce what you're paying him, and then still keep everybody. Somebody is going to go. For the Titans,
one or the other, Jones or Sneed on defense.
Yeah,
I'll keep Jones. I'm sorry.
Right. So, for Sneed, it's a great opportunity to go to a young Titans team, that's made some really good moves this offseason. We talked about Calvin Ridley going there as well. They moved on from King Henry, but then they brought in Tony Pollard. So they're shifting things around there as well. And it's an opportunity for him to get a payday. And look, he got his 3 Super Bowls with the Chiefs. So he's accomplished that. And now it's time for the payday.
Yeah. There you have it. Let me see. Let me come back up. Oh, we got to talk. We haven't really been talking too much baseball, but we definitely got to talk about this Ohtani situation. His apparently he didn't know what was going on. His $4.5 million in gambling debts with his what was the translator who was
So he claims.
Do you believe him? Because personally, I don't believe. I don't know about you had a $4.5 million loan out there to somebody that and you ain't know nothing about it. I don't know. I don't believe him, man. I think Ohtani knew what was going on. I'm sorry, man.
I don't believe Ohtani, and I'm gonna tell you why I don't believe Ohtani. All right. For people that may not really know about the gambling world or understand how that all works, when you go to these sports books, right? If you're a low-level person like Trip and I don't mean that disrespectfully, it's like we're not dealing in millions of dollars. We're not granted any credit at the casino. Whatever we have in our pocket is what we gamble with. When you're a high-level client of the casino, they basically front you the bread and give you a credit. They'll open a line of credit for you, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, based on the type of gambler that you are.
Wait, is that why Bruno Mars is down 50 million right now?
Might be, but
okay, continue.
But if you don't believe me, there's plenty of movies on this as well that talk about this. So when you're a high profile client, you don't have to put $10 million down on the table. You can put $1 million down, but the casino will say, look, he's good for 10. So as long as if he want to keep playing all night, he can play all night. It don't matter. He's good for it. But that's based on them knowing that you're that level of clientele, that you're good for the money. Ain't no way in hell that an interpreter would be able to open up a line of credit of over $4 million at any casino. It ain't happening nowhere in this world, especially not in this country. There was somebody else who was vouching for this guy that would allow him then to have that level of credit. All right. And Ohtani is the clearest source. Also, let's not forget, Shohei Ohtani makes way more money outside of baseball than he does in baseball. This is something that you can look up yourself. Because he's so marketable, he makes more money outside of his Major League Baseball contract than his Major League Baseball contract. Shohei Ohtani probably has 5 or 6 people who comb through his finances every month to make sure what's supposed to be there is there. There's no way that the interpreter would have access to that level of money coming in and out of his account without nobody knowing. You're telling me over $4 million went missing from your account, and at no point if a red flag went up, nobody noticed. There's some shady spending going on. There's some shady transactions going on. Shohei knew what was going on. And I think Major League Baseball knows that he knew what was going on. That's why they waited a couple of days to allow him to release the press statement on it. But they don't want this to fall back on Major League Baseball. Because the last thing Major League Baseball wants is their most marketable star getting caught up in a gambling scandal. Let's not forget, Pete Rose is still not in the Hall of Fame. Major League Baseball still can't get away from that black eye. There's no way they want Shohei Ohtani attached to this. He knew what was going on. He co-signed it. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was the one who was placing the bets through his interpreter.
So is this something that you feel like could possibly get swept under the rug because of what you just said?
They're going to try to, but I think there's going to be some sort of paper trail that's going to be pulled from this, because the interpreter did not take the money he took in one swoop. That was multiple transactions. That's why I say I don't believe that Ohtani or none of his handlers knew about this. That would not have been just one large transaction. That would have been multiple transactions over months, sometimes probably even years, that was used to pay off that debt. So there's no way that no one around Ohtani noticed, because, and let's be real too, Trip, right? You and I go on FanDuel. We might put $50, $100 in our account. This dude ain't paying the casino in 50s or 100s. No. He ain't saying, hey, I got 50 on it this week, and then next week I got, no, here go 100,000, here go 200,000. Here go 500,000. Significant transactions are taking place. There's no way Ohtani's people didn't know about this. Major League Baseball is going to try to sweep it under the rug. Do not be surprised if there's a reporter who uncovers all this, and within a few months, we get the real story that comes out showing that Ohtani knew what took place.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me go to Kyrie Thompson's comment. We got to keep things moving. We're on the clock today. You know how the ladies on her bring up Jalen Green and Drea. Man, this dude got 2 more babies on the way. He's just shooting clubs up. Man, young brother. You better keep shooting the lights out the gym. I'm gonna tell you that right now. He's been balling. He has been balling as of late, but he gonna need to, because that's a lot of babies. And I'm gonna just say this now. That's a lot of potential child support payments that you might have one day. So you better keep balling like you've been balling lately. So when you get that next contract, you get that super max, and you get another super max after that contract, because you're gonna need it.
It's a recipe for disaster, man. He got 2 right now, and I don't even think he's 25. Well, he's gonna have 3 right now. He's not even 25. As you mentioned, child support. The fact that your career in the NBA could end very quickly, the fact that these women are going to have certain expectations because of the lifestyle you live right now, not taking into account that lifestyle could be drastically different 10 years from now. Mm-hmm. Somebody close to Jalen Green got to take him under the wing and tell him, yo, slow down. What's done is done, but you got to slow down now. You got to be more mindful and realize that there's a lot more ahead for you in the future. And the NBA may not be a part of that. Most NBA careers, I think, last anywhere from 6 to 8 years. So you don't want to find yourself in a situation where the issues that you've created now, you don't have solutions for later on. So somebody got to pull them in close and say, slow down.
Yeah, and he does have the talent to be a superstar. He has that type of potential. So let me just say that. However, when you look at how injuries take away from a lot of players, you can't you could be Brandon Roy, and them injuries take you right on out the game. And
Right.
Brandon Roy was one of the top players before the injuries ultimately pushed him out of basketball. You could be a Grant Hill. Well, obviously he came
Mhm.
back later, but he still missed a lot. You could be a T Mac, one of these guys that lose out on a lot because of those injuries. So if God forbid, because I want you to be healthy your whole career, but you mess around and you're not playing in the NBA, things are gonna change real fast for you. It's gonna get
Mhm.
ugly. So just
Yeah.
be conscious, man. Don't be out here shooting up no more clubs. Now you talking about three babies at the same time, bro. I mean, anything else, you gonna be up here with a whole basketball team on your own pretty soon. You keep
And
this
that's
up.
what I'm saying. Not even 25, bro. It's a lot left in your future. There's going to be a lot more shorties that you're going to meet moving forward. Like, don't
Yeah.
put yourself in, like I said, in a position where you don't have solutions for these problems later on.
And that's why when we say, when you talk about some, a lot of these guys, they don't really be used to being around Johns like that.
Yeah,
You
nah,
know what I'm
that's a
saying?
fact.
So now it's like you being thrust into a situation where you may not have always been the most popular kid or
Hmm.
had all the girls like that. So you're not really used to what comes with having baddies around you. And now you got access to all this money, all this power and things going on around you, and it's being thrown at you, and you just like, hey, give me it all, give me you getting something like the Cookie Monster eating
Right.
cookies. That's how you dealing with these women. And it's like, come on, man, listen, you better think about that before you shoot another club up. You better look at your NBA alum and talk to some of them guys and see, what I'm saying, like how quickly things can go in the opposite direction. So
That's a,
I hope
listen,
you let's get it together.
listen. Look up Antonio Cromartie. Cromartie
Yeah,
got about 11.
watch the show.
He got about 11 kids, bro. That NFL money stopped coming in years ago.
Yep.
And in a
So
moment, I'm sure he wasn't really thinking about it because you're making 12 mil, 15 mil in the NFL. He was a very good cornerback, making a lot of money. You're not thinking about that at the time. But the moment it's done and those checks stop coming in, a lot of those child support settlements and arrangements are based on what he was making when he was still in the league. And the moment you out the league, it's like, all right, what am I supposed to do? Because I can't afford to pay that. I'm not making that type of income anymore. So that's why I say you got to slow down a little bit and realize there's a lot more left to life. Just let's slow down a little bit. If that's the three, find a way to just stop it at three and figure things out for the next few years before you move forward. Because you gotta put some money away from kids, man.
yeah, it's like that. All right, ladies, we're gonna get to the messy part of the part of the show. Shout out to Pooh, shout out to Imani. All right, and yes, we know we didn't talk about it, but we did check the video out. All right, listen, man. The point was we didn't know her from being in the video with Tupac. We know Lisa Ray from being Diamond in the Players Club. That's how we know her. We know her from being on the show. All of us, we know her from being on what was the show on MTV? She was on Girls or something like. I forget the name of the show right now. But we didn't know her from being in the Tupac video, even though what I'm saying she may have frequented in the music video during that time. But shout out to Pooh. We got mad love for you, Pooh. We appreciate you always. Let me go down here though. All right, now we gonna get to the real deal. What I've been waiting to talk about. Shout out to Pooh on this one. Thoughts on the top news in rap? Kendrick Lamar's big diss to Drake and J. Cole. Did Kendrick get him? Um, First of all, he definitely got Drake. I will say that. I
Yeah.
think Cole was more of an innocent bystander who took a couple of strays in that. So I do feel like Drake needs to respond. He got to say something back. Because we know what Cole is capable of. So and I still think Cole is going to have something to say as well. But I will say this. I thought Kendrick was dope on the track. I thought getting that Drake and Cole. But I'm gonna tell you this right now. I didn't think it was better than J. Cole's verse on First Person Shooter.
It wasn't better than first person shooter. It wasn't better than a verse. Solid joint for Kendrick. you know, some subliminals in there, solid. But my only concern would be like, you know how Drake's gonna respond. Drake is gonna respond through a pop song or a commercial friendly song. You know that. And then that's where it becomes challenging for Kendrick. Nah, I'm serious. You know
No,
that
you're right.
already.
You're right. You're right. You're
You know what I'm
right.
saying? That's why real talk, like people don't like to talk about it. The main reason to me Pusha T always got up on Drake was because Pusha made it personal and talked about things that nobody knew about. But if you're not meeting him on that level of making it like a catchy song, it's gonna be very tough for you to outshine him because Drake has this following and Drake gets this play that a lot of artists don't get. So
Yeah.
Drake will respond to Kendrick on a song that's very catchy, on something that's going to get a lot of spins or get a lot of play, and then that's where it gets difficult for Kendrick to kind of keep up from that stance. But I thought the verse was solid, and I want to hear if Cole responds as well.
And it's good for hip hop. We're gonna keep it a
It's
buck.
great
It's
for
good
hip
for
hop.
I love
It's
it.
much better than a lot of the other garbage that we got to deal with.
Exactly. So shout out to all them brothers. Shout out to Kendrick. Shout out to Future. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Drake and shout out to J. Cole, man. It is what it is. All right, Imani, the big news. Let me get to Imani's comment. Where Imani's comment at? I gotta throw this on the screen. Here we go. Did y'all hear the feds are raiding both homes in Florida and LA, and both his sons were in handcuffs? Yes, Imani. Of course we heard that. That's one of the biggest things going on in the news right now. We know all about it. I I I can't say that I didn't see this coming at some point. You know, once that snowball started rolling downhill and it
Mm-hmm.
started picking up steam and getting bigger and bigger, I mean, it was only natural that this was going to happen. It was bound to happen. Especially see once settlements start being given out, especially in the amounts of $30 million. Somebody got to do some more homework now. Now we got to do some more research. Now we got to dig deeper
Mm-hmm.
because there is some truth to some of these things that are being said. And you know, all you gotta do is follow the blueprint. It's been laid out for you guys for a couple of years now. Somebody's been leaving, you know, a little trail of information, little nuggets here and there have been being left for you guys. Shout out to you know to Unc, shout out to Big Gene. But this information has been being put out to you guys for years, and now it's just starting to, you know, we're starting to get caught up, and more people are, you know, saying what's going on, what's really going on. Because a lot of people have been around things but just never spoke on it.
Yeah, that's a fact. I think a lot of this is the trickle down effect from the Cassie lawsuit, because in that lawsuit she talked about him forcing her to have, you know, sexual encounters with different people, and that all falls in the line of sex trafficking. If I take you somewhere or take you across state lines and force you to have sex with someone or force you to engage in sexual acts, that's sex trafficking. Um, I think a couple things from this story kind of stuck out to me right away though, because normally when somebody is as high profile as Diddy, normally these are things that are talked about between the lawyers and the feds, and they'll try to go into the house peacefully. So when you see they raided his house, ain't nothing peaceful about the feds raiding your house.
Nope. They
When they
everything.
when they throwing everybody in handcuffs, ain't nothing peaceful about that. So that's the first thing that stuck out to me. And that's the first thing that made me feel like, nah, they have some legitimate evidence. Because look back through the history, even Epstein was given a warning that they were coming to his house. The feds ain't give Diddy no warning that they were coming to his house. And the other part of this that's
the protection, so he might have got over on that one.
very possible, but still, through the history, American judicial history, if you look at the high profile situations, a lot of times we're gonna give you the warning. We're gonna speak to your lawyer.
Give you a chance to get your affairs
right, get your affairs in order, and we're gonna try to do this as peacefully as possible. The second thing that stuck out about this trip, there's a video circulating, I'll send it to you. The camera crews were already at both the house in LA and the house in Miami. On one of the clips, the journalist that's speaking says the helicopters have been above the house even before Homeland Security arrived, which means this was already leaked out to the media. This raid is going down. It's happening today. Right. Nasty work. So that's another reason why I think there is some legitimate proof against Puff right now, because you don't call the media to the scene unless you absolutely know we're walking out of there with some evidence. You don't do it. We're walking out of there with some evidence. We're going to turn this into a circus. So there's some other things that are in play with this situation I think there is some proof here, and I think Puff is in some trouble, bro. I think he's in some real, like I said, when the feds come in and they start arresting everybody and they start flipping over the fish tanks and all that, they got some
Yeah.
evidence and they just trying to find it in the house.
And you know what, Eric? It's so crazy because I sit and I watch all of these people that want to talk about this now. All of these interviewers that want to continue to bring all of these people up that were around from that time, and I'm just like, man, if y'all had only listened sooner. I mean, some of y'all did, because we got a couple million in the view categories, in the view column. So some of y'all did, but you know the information has been out there, and now it's really everything is really coming to the light, and now people are just coming forth with that with that paperwork and documents and videos and things like that. And Eric, I saw what you said last week. We got, they got some files here. You know what I'm saying? I can't say too much right now. I can't say what's on the just show. When you come to New York, we're gonna talk more about that, Eric.
Yeah.
I'll let the supporters know what's going on. But the writing was on the wall. We saw this. Shout out to Ron. He said salute to Big Gene. One of the things Gene always said when we first started doing Raw Deal, he said, I'm gonna chip away at the Eiffel Tower. And building up and the build up, and now we here, and it's like, yo, now you see all of these people who are once one person comes out and is lit like that, you're gonna start seeing more people and more people pop out of the woodworks, and that's that's what we've seen, and now it's led up to this. I do feel bad for the kids because I don't believe that they had anything to do with I mean, they damn sure didn't have anything to do with stuff that was going on in the previous, what I'm saying, years. You know what I'm saying? So, and again, I don't wish jail on anybody. I don't even wish the feeling of you being in handcuffs on anybody. You know what I'm saying? But Diddy has done a lot, and the more stuff that comes to light, the deeper this thing is going to be, and I don't think this is over yet.
No, it's not. I really believe this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of everything for him. And looking back, I think that's why he tried to settle that Cassie lawsuit so quick, because the longer that dragged on, the more information was going to come out. She had firsthand accounts. Nobody could ever say she was lying because she was next to the man for 14, 15 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be tough to discredit anything she says. And that's why he tried to settle it as quickly as possible. But it was also the understanding that the more and more information starts to come out, the higher probability that there's going to be some trickle down effect. And like I said, the sex trafficking is probably the most disturbing out of all. It's like, don't get me wrong, we're going to laugh and joke about some of the stories we hear, but the sex trafficking is the one that's the most severe. That's a federal crime. You got the New York Southern District working hand in hand with LA and Miami. You already got 3 major states working hand in hand to build the case. We already know what the Fed's conviction rate is. You're not beating this case, bro. With the fact that 3 major states are working together to convict you on something, there's enough evidence you're not beating that case, bro. You know how that goes, Trip.
Yeah. So, hope you got your affairs in order, brother. Because them guys is coming for you. And shoot, if Bill Cosby did a stint, I don't think they're not gonna let you slide on this, man. They got too much. It's too much.
Listen, the higher profile you are as a person, the more they want to convict you. They're gonna want to make an example of you. Simple as that. They're gonna want to make an example of you.
Exactly. Ron, I saw your comment, but we actually talked about Kyrie's comment a little bit while ago. We talked about the Jalen Green situation. We gave that brother some good advice. Let me go to Pooh's comment. Shout out to Pooh. I wonder why Usher, Justin Bieber, Meek Mill. Did y'all see the old video of Puffy asking Justin when he gonna chill with him again? And the look on Justin's face was like, never again. I mean, listen, first all you had to do was see the Drink Champs interview with Fab and Jada.
Fab, yeah. When he's like, why y'all never come party with me?
Taking them shopping and going to party to know that you don't need to be out. That
Nah, when he said why you never party with me, and Fab kind of like hesitated, and Jada just kind of turned his head like, yeah, we not there.
we know the type of stuff you into. I mean, listen, you see Columbus Short coming out talking about Diddy inviting him to his hotel room at 2 a.m. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of Wild Bill stuff going on. And then, and I listen, I told y'all before about the story that Gene told us when they had went into the sex store
But
and the
yeah,
man was up in the sex store buying butt plugs, and he asked Gene to go stand outside so he could shop in peace. And then, mysteriously later on in that day, you know what I'm saying, him and another rapper and some ladies wound up in the room together, and some things had transpired, but y'all just got to go back into the archives and watch the interviews. Watch, first of all, I'm tell you right now that everybody that interviewed Gene, Eric's interviews are the best with Gene.
I
And
appreciate that.
that's not me being biased. That's because it's because obviously we have an in-depth view of everything that's going on, and since we know Gene on a personal level, we can ask Gene questions that a lot of his interviewers are not going to ask Gene. So Eric actually has the best interviews with Gene. So you guys should look up those sit down interviews that Eric has done with Gene. And then you go back and reference Raw Deal, The Last Big Night, because a lot of this stuff is being spoken about. That's a fact, Pooh. The look on Fab's face was priceless. Ain't nobody trying to party with you, bro. And stop trying to offer to
Right.
take grown men shopping. Like, what? If it's not your son, don't offer to take no grown man shopping. Or if it's your husband, that's different. You can do what you want to do. I don't judge nobody. But other than that, don't be as a heterosexual male. You should not be trying to offer to take another heterosexual grown man shopping. It just sorry, I can't. I got to stand on business when it comes to grown men taking other grown men shopping. All right. Let me go back. I just wonder why in the music industry you got to do all that ish. Clive Davis rumors with Puffy too. Why can artists just do their thing and not do crazy ish? You got that question. You're gonna have to ask the artist that's out here doing crazy ish, because I can't justify nobody's reasoning for doing the f shit that they've been doing. And I've again, Eric and I have both had in-depth conversations with Gene,
Hmm.
and some things that we've spoken about with Gene, we haven't even spoken about on air, because some of the stuff we can't even
Yeah,
talk about on air. So we
yeah,
haven't even talked about it on air. But there are stories that we have been told, and it's just like,
yeah. There's some shit.
nasty work. That's all I'm gonna say. Nasty work.
To Pooh's question, I think not just the music industry, I think entertainment as a whole. When you look back at how or what it took to progress in the music industry back in the day, when you just didn't have the exposure and you needed the quote unquote machine to kind of push you, people
Mhm.
compromised their morals and people did things that they normally wouldn't done for fame and success. I think those days are kind of behind us because now whatever it is, whatever form of entertainment you're into, you can push that without having the mainstream, support you. But you look back 50s, 60s, 70s into the 80s, into the 90s, even early 2000s, there was no internet in this capacity, right?
Yeah.
Nobody was doing podcasts or recording short films in the early 2000s. Like that wasn't a thing. You couldn't really stream your music out to the masses in that way. Like it took a lot, it took a lot of money, it took a lot of marketing to do those things. So I think
Yeah.
that's why so often we see people kind of compromise their morals, and then some people quote unquote go crazy behind it because they realize like this isn't who I am.
Yeah.
So I think that's what changes the Clive Davis, not only rumors with Puff, the Clive Davis situation to me is always an ugly situation because Clive Davis was rumored to be one of the most influential people behind the scenes with a lot of this, you know, sexual misconduct and all these allegations. There was allegations with him and Michael Jackson, and then Clive Davis waited until he was damn near 70 years old to come out the closet and say, "Oh, by the way, I'm a gay man." And it's
Yeah.
like all these rumors for years, all the people that were around you, some of the youngest artists, some of the youngest entertainers the world had ever seen were around you. And but yet we didn't find out about your sexual preference until you were damn near 70 years old. After all these other rumors were out. Look those rumors up too, Pooh, because there was rumors of Clive. You said behind Whitney Houston's career. Michael Jackson spent a lot of time around Clive Davis as a young man. There was a lot of suspect ish that went on.
In regards to who's worse, R. Kelly or Diddy, I, I'm gonna wait to respond to that because I want to see everything that
Right.
they're to you know what I'm saying to charge Diddy with and see what he's actually convicted of and what evidence comes forward because obviously I mean, we already know R. Kelly did some bottom of the barrel dirt bag, you know what I'm saying, creep ish that we don't
Yeah.
support at all. But we know how bad that situation was. I want to see how far in depth they go with this Diddy situation, and then we can compare. But either way, you know what I'm saying, if you get convicted of any of this stuff, you need to be out the culture. Straight like that.
Uh, and Pooh's last question, ties into this one as well. For me, I'm gonna say R. Kelly because even the stuff we heard about Diddy, I think R. Kelly's is worse. When you talk about the young girls, when you talk about the grooming aspect, when you talk about from what we've heard and even what Trip and I heard, these were all women of age and consent and age more importantly than anything, right?
I think what Puff is more so that there's so many men involved.
There's men involved. Then you hear the Cassie situations where he's kind of like, not not gun to your head, but I'm definitely forcing you to go do some things that you don't want to do right now. Those type of things. R. Kelly, when you look at like the grooming aspect of it, that's where it really gets sick, bro. When you talking about young girls that you did things to, or in some cases you groomed them and separated them from the family, and then you got them locked away in homes where they can't interact with anybody. That to me is just on a different level of illness and just sick shit.
Yeah, I will say this point. I'll give you this because Pooh says I'm asking because y'all know other ish that y'all haven't told. Yeah, because because some of the stuff I can't until Unc says we could put the
Yeah.
information out. We can't put it out yet. But I will say this. This is something that Gene did speak about. I don't think he would have a problem um with us talking about it in regards to Puff. First of all, you know what I'm saying, like with the physical abuse, because I know that I'm sure there's gonna be
Hmm.
some physical abuse, some domestic stuff that's in this. One of the things that Gene spoke about, and he spoke about this in an interview he did recently. You know, he he said that like he knows that certain things were going on based off of all right. I guess we'll talk about Kim Porter because one of the things he talked about was the situation that Diddy had with Kim Porter, him not actually being in the room because he said Diddy would never do anything like that in front of him because one, Gene is a mandated reporter, being a PO, he would have to if he actually saw Puff physically harming, you know what I'm saying, a female or a child or something like that, he would have to report that. But because he's taking trips to hospitals and things like that, and people that had to get stitched up and things after things have transpired, so yeah, if if two people go in the room and then magically I got to transport somebody to the hospital now to get stitched up, and there's nobody else in that room but them two people. I think you guys kind of get the picture of what went down in the room. Some things might have went down.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and it's still a lot more details to come out about this, and um, I don't know, man. Like I said, I just think this Puff's in a lot of trouble, bro. Because when the feds come this way, and when you got multiple states kind of working together to make it happen and put the case together, I mean, you got pieces from the New York case that are probably true. You got pieces of the LA case. You got pieces of the Miami case that are probably true, and you tie those together, and then you fill in the gaps with the sex trafficking and with the abuse. Um,
Yeah,
it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to beat this, man. It's gonna be tough. And I saw somebody put in the comment that he fled to an island. It's very possible because let's not forget when Russell Simmons was under fire, Russell Simmons left the country for a little bit.
yeah,
Russ left the country to try to get his affairs in order before speaking to law enforcement. So it's very possible that Puff is getting that same advice: leave the country, go somewhere else for a little bit, give yourself some distance from these allegations, and allow your lawyer to then speak with law enforcement to see what they have before you make your next step. Because if they got enough to convict, don't be surprised if you see Puff start to cooperate and say, "All right, we got to move forward because they got enough already."
Yeah, and when we do start to get to the nitty gritty, because now if once they start raiding homes, it's just a matter of time
Hmm.
before we gonna probably it's gonna probably be some court stuff going on. So we'll definitely bring Gene back on the show to talk to you guys with that. But
And I
with that
wouldn't.
being
Well, I
go
want to say
ahead.
one more thing too, right? Because we saw this in the Epstein case. Sometimes we kind of lose sight of the bigger picture because of what's right in front of us. Them going after Puff could be the ploy to go after a bigger fish in entertainment. And that's not to say Puff ain't a big fish, but realize the feds understand how all this works. And like, if the feds feel like Puff is willing to roll over on somebody who's a bigger name, then they just go crazy at Puff, knowing, all right, we got you. We got enough on you to convict you. But who we really want is this person. Because Epstein was in the same position. The feds got Epstein, but he wasn't the big fish they wanted because you started seeing politicians their names started to come out after that. So
Mhm.
Puff could be a smaller fish that leads up to the bigger catch.
And look, I ain't gonna spread no rumors and say he might be out there talking, but I will tell you right now, one of the
Well,
earlier clips that we put out with Gene, was talking about, the seniority members in his family that were, were doing some talking to them boys. So I wouldn't put it past him to, if it's come down to him or giving up somebody else, I
mhm.
wouldn't put it past him. But that's we gonna leave it at that on that note right there. Eric, give us a final thought, man.
Nah, as always, man, love all the supporters. Enjoy the games tonight. Enjoy the games throughout the week. Keep rocking with us, man. We greatly appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Love all you guys. Thank y'all again to the supporters. Y'all keep us motivated every week. I'll put up the link for next week as well. I'm gonna try to get out a little bit early. I think we'll be back on Sunday next week. Wait, actually
Next
Sunday is
next
Easter,
Easter,
so we might
yeah. So happy Easter to everyone as
right.
well.
All right, so I think all right. So we're gonna do next Monday again because Sunday is Easter, guys. And I know I'm gonna be in church on Easter Sunday. I got
Yeah.
my team ready. I just signed up the hard bottoms. You know what I'm saying? So I'm outside on Easter. I'm yeah. If you help me out, say what up, man. But with that being said, though, make sure you guys are following us on all our social media: Instagram, Twitter at Real Fan Talk, Facebook.com/Real Fans Real Talk, YouTube.com/For the Fans Productions. And don't worry, if you're not in New York City and you can't watch us Thursday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. on Verizon 43, you can still watch us from anywhere in the world. Just click on that website, realfansrealtalk.com. Click the red button on the homepage, and you can watch from anywhere in the world. Also, make sure you subscribe to the two best podcasts out right now, and that's the Real Fans Real Talk and the Sanchez Show podcast. We're streaming on all major platforms, so I don't know why you wouldn't be subscribed to us already. But just in case, hit that subscribe button. Y'all know what to do. With that being said, for myself, Trip Young, my brother, my co-host, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games, we up out of here. Peace.